Before we dive in, please remember that this video is for informational and educational purposes only. I am not a financial advisor, and the content in this presentation should not be considered financial advice. The cryptocurrency market is highly volatile and carries significant risk. Always do your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any investment decisions. Your financial choices are your own, and I am simply here to share my research and analysis to help you navigate this complex world. The single biggest mistake that will cost you thousands of dollars in crypto has absolutely nothing to do with buying the wrong coin. It has nothing to do with buying at the top or selling at the bottom. The most devastating portfolio-crushing mistake you can make in 2026 is choosing the wrong exchange. And the terrifying part is, you won't even realize you're bleeding money until it's far too late. Think about it. You spend weeks researching the next big project, you time your entry perfectly, but because you're on the wrong platform, you're secretly paying a 4% tax on every single transaction. You're getting eaten alive by hidden fees you don't even know exist. Or worse, you wake up one morning to find your account frozen because the exchange you chose isn't compliant with new US regulations, and your funds are now in limbo. This is not a hypothetical. This is the new reality for American crypto investors in 2026. The game has changed. The easy days of signing up anywhere and just clicking buy are over. And that is why this video exists. This is your definitive, no-nonsense, no-sponsorship guide to the best crypto exchanges for United States users right now. We are going to rip apart the biggest names, Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, and a few others you need to know about, and compare them on the 5 things that actually matter: fees, security, coin selection, user experience, and the most important factor of all for US citizens, regulatory staying power. My promise to you is this. By the end of this video, you will know with 100% certainty which exchange is right for you, for your specific goals, and you will have a clear plan to save yourself from the hidden fees and catastrophic risks that are wiping out other investors. I've spent the last 6 months and over 300 hours testing these platforms, moving my own money, executing trades, and digging through the fine print of their terms of service so you don't have to. So let's get into it. Let's start with the elephant in the room, the silent killer of your portfolio: fees. This is where most people get absolutely fleeced. You see, exchanges are masters of hiding their costs. They use a 3-pronged attack to drain your account: the spread, the trading fee, and the withdrawal fee. Let's break it down. First, the spread. This is the sneakiest fee of them all. When you go to buy a coin, you see a price. When you go to sell it at that exact same moment, you see a slightly lower price. That difference between the buy price and the sell price is the spread, and the exchange pockets it. Some platforms, especially the ones that advertise zero commission or zero fee trading, have massive spreads. You might think you're getting a deal, but they're just hiding the fee in the price of the asset itself. It's like going to a currency exchange at the airport. You know you're not getting the real market rate. A simple buy and sell on a platform with a high spread can cost you 1 to 2% of your capital instantly, before any other fees are even applied. Next, you have the actual trading fees. This is where it gets complicated on purpose. Exchanges use terms like maker and taker fees to confuse you, but it's actually very simple. Imagine you're at a marketplace. A maker is someone who sets up a stall and puts a price tag on their apples. They are making a market. A taker is someone who walks up and buys the apples at the listed price. They are taking from the market. In crypto, if you place a limit order, meaning you say, I want to buy Bitcoin, but only if it hits this specific price, you are a market maker. You're adding an order to the book. If you place a market order, meaning you say, I want to buy Bitcoin right now at whatever the current price is, you are a market taker. Why does this matter? Because exchanges reward makers with much, much lower fees. Takers who demand instant transactions pay a premium. On a platform like Coinbase, the difference is staggering. If you just use the simple buy-sell button on the main Coinbase app, you're acting as a taker and you're paying an enormous fee, plus a nasty spread. We're talking about a combined cost that can approach 3 to 4% on smaller trades. That is financial malpractice. It's like setting a $100 bill on fire every time you buy a few $1,000s worth of crypto. But if you use their advanced platform, Coinbase Advanced, which is free to access, and you place a limit order as a maker, that fee can drop to as low as 0.6% or even less, depending on your trading volume. That's a potential savings of over 80% on every single trade. Kraken is similar. Using Kraken Pro instead of the basic Kraken interface can slash your fees from 1.5% down to 0.26% or lower. This one single tip, always using the advanced or pro version of your exchange and learning to place limit orders, is the fastest way to add thousands of dollars back into your portfolio over time. It is the single most important thing you can learn when it comes to fees. So how do the big 3 US exchanges stack up on fees for 2026? Let's assume you're a smart investor and you're using the pro-level platforms. Generally speaking, Kraken Pro often comes out slightly ahead with some of the lowest, most transparent maker/taker fees in the US market. They have a great fee structure that heavily rewards you for being a market maker. Coinbase Advanced is very competitive, but can sometimes be a fraction of a percent higher for lower volume traders. Gemini, through their active trader platform, is also in the same ballpark, offering competitive rates. The key takeaway is that all 3 of these regulated US giants have pro versions that are dramatically cheaper than their simple, beginner-friendly interfaces. The simple interface is a trap. It's a convenience tax designed to prey on new users. Don't pay it. Finally, we have deposit and withdrawal fees. This is the third blade of the fee knife. Some exchanges will charge you to deposit money via ACH or wire transfer. Most of the good ones in the US don't for standard bank transfers, but they will for debit card purchases, so avoid using your debit card if you can. The real kicker is withdrawal fees. When you want to move your crypto off the exchange to your own private wallet, which you absolutely should be doing, the exchange will charge you a network fee. Sometimes they charge you the exact network fee required to process the transaction on the blockchain. That's fair. But some exchanges will tack on their own service charge on top of that, charging you a flat fee of say $25 to withdraw Bitcoin, even if the network fee is only $5. You have to check the withdrawal fee schedule before you commit to a platform, especially if you plan on making frequent withdrawals. So to recap on fees, first, avoid exchanges with a high spread by checking the difference between the buy and sell price. Second, always use the advanced or pro trading interface, not the simple one-click buy button. Third, learn to use limit orders to become a market maker and get the lowest possible trading fees. And fourth, check the withdrawal fee schedule to make sure you're not getting gouged when it's time to secure your coins. Mastering fees is like plugging a leak in your financial boat. It's the first and most critical step. But finding the cheapest exchange is pointless if your money isn't safe. What good are those fractions of a percent you saved on fees if you wake up one morning and the entire exchange has been hacked, or worse, shut down by regulators, and your entire portfolio is gone forever? Fees are what cost you money slowly. A lack of security costs you everything instantly. And in 2026, the threats are bigger, more sophisticated, and far scarier than ever before. Let's talk about the ghosts in the machine. The digital predators of 2026 aren't the clumsy hackers of the past, sending out emails with misspelled words and suspicious links. They are artists of deception, armed with artificial intelligence that can learn, adapt, and impersonate with terrifying accuracy. Forget phishing emails. I'm talking about getting a hyper-realistic, personalized video call from what appears to be the head of support at your exchange. It's his face. It's his voice. He references your last 3 transactions, which he knows because he's already breached a low-level database. He's calmly explaining that there's a security alert on your account, and he needs you to help him secure it by moving your funds to a new, upgraded wallet address he provides. Feels real. Feels urgent. And in a moment of panic, you comply. Seconds later, your life savings are gone, funneled through a dozen mixers and vanished into the ether. This isn't science fiction. This is the reality of AI-powered social engineering. And it's one of the primary threats that separates the truly secure exchanges from the ones that are just waiting to be a headline. Then there's the silent, existential threat that keeps cryptographers awake at night: quantum computing. For years, it was a distant boogeyman, but by 2026, the timeline has accelerated. Think of the encryption that protects your crypto, the complex math that secures your wallet, as a massive, unpickable lock. A quantum computer isn't just a better lockpick. It's a machine that can test every possible key combination simultaneously. Fundamentally breaks the lock. Any exchange that isn't actively implementing quantum-resistant cryptography, or at least doesn't have a public, credible roadmap for doing so, is building its house on a foundation that could crumble overnight. It's a ticking time bomb, and you need to know if your exchange is trying to defuse it or just ignoring the sound. So how do we navigate this minefield? How do we separate the fortresses from the facades? It starts by understanding that in the United States, security isn't just about technology. It's inextricably linked to regulation. I know, regulation is the boring part. It's the vegetables you have to eat before you get to the dessert of 100x gains. But in the post-FTX, post-Binance crackdown world, regulation is no longer just a suggestion. It's your primary shield against catastrophe. An exchange that plays by the rules is an exchange that is less likely to suddenly disappear with your money. In the US, there isn't one single crypto cop on the beat. It's a whole squad, and they don't always coordinate. You've got the big three federal agencies. First, the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. They're the ones who decide if a particular crypto asset is a security, like a stock. If an exchange lists a token the SEC later deems an unregistered security, that exchange can face massive fines and legal battles, which can destabilize the entire platform. You want an exchange that is extremely conservative about what it lists, one that has a rigorous legal framework for vetting new coins, not one that just chases the latest memecoin hype. Next is the CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. They typically regulate derivatives like Bitcoin futures and options. If you plan on trading anything more complex than just buying and selling coins, you need to ensure your exchange is registered and compliant with the CFTC. Their oversight is what prevents the kind of insane leverage and market manipulation that has blown up countless exchanges in the past. And finally, there's FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Every legitimate US exchange must be registered with FinCEN as a money services business. This is non-negotiable. It means they have to comply with anti-money laundering and know your customer laws. While it might be a pain to upload your ID, this is what keeps outright criminal enterprises from using the platform, making it a safer ecosystem for everyone. An exchange that doesn't require KYC is not a champion of freedom. It's a red flag the size of Texas. But it gets even more complicated. On top of the federal layer, each state has its own rules. The most notorious is New York's BitLicense, a regulatory framework so strict that many exchanges still refuse to operate in the state. This patchwork of state laws means an exchange might be fully licensed in California, but completely unavailable in Hawaii. Before you even think about an exchange, your first step is to check if it's legally licensed to operate in your specific state. Don't just assume. Verify. Now let's talk about the most important lesson we learned from the collapses of the past. Trust but verify. Remember when exchanges would claim they had all their customer funds safe and sound? We just had to take their word for it. Not anymore. In 2026, the gold standard is not just proof of reserves. Proof of reserves is a good start. It's when an exchange uses cryptographic methods to show they hold the crypto they claim to. But it's only half the picture. It shows the assets, but it doesn't show the liabilities. It's like showing someone a picture of a fat bank account, but not telling them about the massive credit card debt and loans you have. The true gold standard is a full independent audit conducted by a reputable, preferably Big Four accounting firm. This is a top-to-bottom financial examination. They don't just count the crypto. They verify liabilities, assess internal controls, and provide a comprehensive picture of the company's financial health. An exchange that undergoes this level of scrutiny is showing you, not just telling you, that your money is safe. It's the difference between a promise and proof. So let's turn this into a practical checklist. A security framework you can use to X-ray any exchange you're considering. Number 1, insurance. And I'm not just talking about the standard FDIC insurance on your US dollar deposits. Every decent exchange has that. I'm talking about insurance for the crypto itself. Does the exchange have a private insurance policy, often through a syndicate like Lloyd's of London, that covers assets held in their hot wallets, the ones connected to the internet? This is your protection against a direct hack. They should be transparent about the size of this policy and what it covers. If they're vague about insurance, it's because they don't have enough of it. Number 2, custody. Where are your coins actually being held? Are they in the exchange's own proprietary system? Or are they using a third-party regulated qualified custodian? A qualified custodian is a bank or trust company that's legally obligated to segregate customer assets and is subject to regular audits. Using one is a massive security upgrade because it separates the exchange's business operations from the actual assets. If the exchange goes bankrupt, a qualified custodian helps ensure your crypto isn't caught up in the proceedings. It's one of the most important structural safeguards to emerge in recent years. Number 3, public audits and bug bounties. A secure company is not afraid of scrutiny. Look for a section on their website dedicated to security. Do they regularly publish the results of third-party penetration tests and security audits from well-known cybersecurity firms? More importantly, do they have an active and rewarding bug bounty program? A bug bounty invites ethical hackers to find vulnerabilities in their system and pays them for their discoveries. It's a sign of confidence. It says, "We believe our walls are strong, but we're willing to pay to find any cracks before the bad guys do." A company that doesn't do this is either arrogant or hiding something. These 4 pillars, deep regulatory compliance, audited financials, robust insurance, and transparent custody and security practices, form the bedrock of a trustworthy exchange in 2026. It's not about which platform has the slickest app or the lowest fees anymore. It's about survival. It's about choosing the partner that is as obsessed with protecting your assets as you are with growing them. Because the threats are real, they are sophisticated, and they are relentless. Choosing the wrong exchange isn't just a risk. It's a certainty of loss waiting for its moment to strike. So, with this new arsenal of knowledge, this new security X-ray vision, which exchange is first on our chopping block? We're going to start with the biggest, the most well-known name in the United States, the one that's publicly traded on the Nasdaq Coinbase. Is its reputation as the safe choice for Americans truly earned? Or are there cracks in the foundation that nobody is talking about? We put it to the test using this exact framework, and what we found might just shock you. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Coinbase is the gateway drug for most American crypto investors. It's the brand your mom has heard of. It's the stock your uncle might own. And that public listing on the Nasdaq, ticker symbol COIN, is its armor. It creates an almost impenetrable shield of perceived legitimacy. In a world of shadowy offshore exchanges and rug pulls, Coinbase feels like Fort Knox. And to be fair, much of that reputation is earned. They hold a staggering amount of crypto, over 5% of the entire market cap, in secure cold storage. Your US dollar deposits are FDIC insured up to $250,000, just like a regular bank account. They've poured hundreds of millions into cybersecurity and regulatory compliance. They're playing the long game, betting that when the dust settles, they'll be the last one standing, fully compliant and integrated into the traditional financial system. For the risk-averse, this is a siren song. It's a promise of safety in the Wild West. But here's the first crack in that foundation. That FDIC insurance? It only covers your cash, your US dollars sitting in your account. It does not cover your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, or any other crypto asset you hold. If Coinbase were to face a catastrophic exchange-ending hack, and your crypto was stolen, the FDIC wouldn't lift a finger. Now, Coinbase has private crime insurance to cover a portion of hot wallet losses. But the specifics are murky, and it's a far cry from the government-backed guarantee that gives people so much peace of mind. It's a crucial distinction that most users completely miss. But the real shock, the one that costs users millions of dollars every single day, isn't hidden in the legal fine print. It's hiding in plain sight, disguised as simplicity. I'm talking about their fees. Coinbase operates what is essentially 2 different exchanges under one roof. There's the one most people know, the simple blue and white app on your phone. You open it, you see a big blue buy button, you type in how much you want, and you hit confirm. It's as easy as ordering an Uber. And for that convenience, Coinbase charges you a king's ransom. They hit you with not 1 but 2 fees. First, there's a spread, which is a markup on the crypto price itself, typically around 0.5%. Then, on top of that, they charge a Coinbase fee, which is a flat rate or a percentage, whichever is higher. Let's put that in real numbers. Say you want to buy $1,000 of Bitcoin using that simple interface. You'll likely pay a spread of about $5. Then, you'll be hit with a transaction fee of around $14.70. Your total cost to make that one trade? Almost $20. You've lost 2% of your investment before it even has a chance to move. It's an astronomical price to pay for clicking a button. We call this the convenience tax. And it's the financial engine that powers the entire company. Now for the secret. Tucked away, almost hidden from view, is what's called advanced trade. It used to be a separate platform called Coinbase Pro before they merged it. This is their real exchange. It has charts, order books, and a completely different fee structure. It looks more complicated, sure, but the fees, they're a different universe. So we ran the test. That same $1,000 Bitcoin purchase on advanced trade. The fee wasn't $20. It was $6. Let me repeat that. By clicking a few different buttons and using the advanced interface, you save $14 on a single $1,000 trade. That's a 66% reduction in fees. This isn't a small difference. If your dollar cost averaging buying a little bit every week or every month, this adds up to a staggering amount of money. Buy $1,000 of crypto once a month on the simple interface, and you're handing Coinbase $240 a year. Use the advanced interface, and you're paying them $72. You're literally lighting $168 on fire for no reason other than using the easy button. This is the Kraken, the foundation. Coinbase business model, for its retail users, relies on you not knowing that a cheaper, better option exists on their own platform. Moving on to user experience. For the absolute beginner, the simple app is undeniably best in class. It's clean, intuitive, and removes all the scary trading jargon. It's designed to get you from zero to owning your first crypto in under 5 minutes. And in that, it succeeds brilliantly. But as we just established, that beautiful simplicity is a gilded cage, designed to keep you in their high-fee environment. The advanced trade interface, on the other hand, is solid but not spectacular. It's a step up, offering limit orders, stop losses, and more control over your trades. But compared to dedicated trader-focused platforms, it can feel a bit clunky. The charting tools are basic, and the performance can sometimes lag during periods of high volatility. It's a functional tool, but it's not the sharpest one in the shed. What about the coins you can actually buy? Coinbase Asset Selection is a classic case of quality over quantity. They have a rigorous vetting process called the Digital Asset Framework. This means you're less likely to find the latest and greatest meme coin or a small, unproven altcoin project. For beginners, this is a feature, not a bug. It acts as a protective barrier, preventing them from aping into highly speculative or fraudulent projects. They list the big names: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and a curated selection of other reputable projects. However, for more experienced investors looking for the next 100x gem, Coinbase is a barren wasteland. The slow, deliberate listing process means that by the time a coin gets the Coinbase bump, much of the explosive growth has already happened. You're trading potential upside for the safety of their walled garden. Finally, we have the ecosystem. This is where Coinbase tries to lock you in and become your all-in-one crypto portal. They have the Coinbase Wallet, a separate self-custody app that gives you full control over your keys and access to the wider world of DeFi and NFTs. It's a good product, rivaling MetaMask and other popular wallets. They offer staking on a variety of proof-of-stake assets, allowing you to earn yield on your holdings. The rates are okay. They're generally competitive but not always the best on the market, as Coinbase takes a sizable cut of the rewards for providing the service. Again, you're paying a premium for convenience. Then there's Coinbase One, their subscription service. For $30 a month, you get zero-fee trading, higher staking rewards, and dedicated support. But here's the catch. That zero-fee promise only applies to the spread, and it's capped. It's a decent deal if you're a very active trader moving significant volume, but for the average person, the math just doesn't work out. You're better off just learning to use advanced trade and saving yourself $360 a year in subscription fees. And the Coinbase card, a debit card that lets you spend your crypto and earn crypto rewards back. In theory, it's a great bridge between crypto and the real world. In practice, the rewards are often lackluster compared to top-tier traditional credit cards, and the tax implications of spending an appreciating asset can be a nightmare. So, what's the final verdict on Coinbase for 2026? It remains the undisputed king of onboarding. It is, for many, the safest and easiest entry point into the crypto world. Its security is top-tier, and its regulatory posture makes it a durable player in the US market. But that safety and simplicity come at a cost. A steep one. It's a platform that preys on inaction and a lack of knowledge. It banks on the idea that users will choose the path of least resistance, even if it costs them dearly. For your very first $100 Bitcoin purchase, Coinbase is perfectly fine. But for anyone serious about building wealth in this space, staying on their simple platform is financial malpractice. The single most valuable piece of advice for any Coinbase user is to find the Advanced Trade tab and never ever look back. The question then becomes, is there an alternative? What if you could get a similar level of security, a user-friendly platform, and deep liquidity, but with a transparent and radically cheaper fee structure from day one? What if there was an exchange built by the OG crypto cypherpunks, one that has never been hacked and has a reputation for being the professional's choice in the United States? Well, there is. And it's been quietly operating in Coinbase shadow for over a decade, building an army of loyal users who swear by its integrity. It's time we talk about the Kraken. To understand Kraken, you have to go back. Not just a few years, but back to the primordial days of crypto, back to the catastrophe that almost killed Bitcoin before it ever truly began. We're talking about Mt. Gox. For those who weren't there, it's hard to describe the absolute chaos. Imagine the world's biggest bank, where almost everyone held their digital gold, simply vanished overnight. Hundreds of thousands of bitcoins gone. Confidence in the entire ecosystem evaporated. It was in the smoldering wreckage of that disaster that Kraken was forged. Its founder Jesse Powell had visited the Mt. Gox offices in Japan, trying to help. He saw firsthand the catastrophic failure of security, the lack of transparency, the hubris. And he decided to build the antithesis. He wasn't trying to build the easiest or the flashiest exchange. He was trying to build the safest. A digital fortress. An exchange that could withstand the storms he knew were coming. That security-first, almost paranoid DNA is the single most important thing to understand about Kraken, because it informs every single decision they make even today in 2026. This history isn't just a fun fact. It's the reason Kraken was the first major exchange to pioneer something called a proof of reserves audit. Long before the collapse of FTX made it a desperate marketing buzzword for everyone else, Kraken was already doing it. They were hiring independent auditors to come in and cryptographically prove that the assets they claimed to hold for their customers were actually there one for one in their cold storage vaults. They were showing their work. It was a direct response to the ghosts of Mt. Gox, a promise to their users that said, "We will not let that happen to you. Ever." In a world of smoke and mirrors, Kraken was building its house out of brick. So, how does this translate to you, a US user in 2026? It means when you use Kraken, you're using a platform where security isn't a feature on a checklist. It's the entire foundation. This is reflected in their pristine record. In an industry littered with the skeletons of hacked exchanges, Kraken stands as one of the very few OGs that has never, ever been significantly hacked and lost customer funds. Think about that for a second. Over a decade at the heart of the wildest, most targeted industry on the planet, and their walls have never been breached. Now let's talk about the actual experience. Logging into Kraken is a bit different from Coinbase. It almost feels like two separate products. First, you have the standard Kraken interface. It's clean, it's simple, and it does the job for basic buying, selling, and converting. It's their answer to the base Coinbase experience. It works perfectly fine, but honestly, if that's all you use, you're missing the entire point of Kraken. The real heart of the platform, the reason it has such a fiercely loyal following, is Kraken Pro. And yes, that Pro label can sound intimidating, but don't let it fool you. This isn't just for Wall Street quants. Kraken Pro is the financial cockpit that anyone who is even slightly serious about their investments should be using. And the number one reason is fees. The difference is staggering. While the simple interface charges a higher, fixed fee for convenience, Kraken Pro operates on a maker-taker model that is among the most competitive in the United States. Let's put that in real-world terms. On a standard platform, buying $1,000 of Ethereum might cost you $15 or $20. On Kraken Pro, that same trade could cost you less than $2. Now multiply that by dozens of trades over the course of a year. The savings aren't just marginal. They can add up to hundreds, even thousands of dollars that stay in your pocket instead of going to the exchange. This is the secret that experienced crypto users know. You graduate from the simple, buy button to the Pro interface as quickly as possible to stop bleeding money on fees. Kraken Pro is, without a doubt, one of the best places for an active US trader to do just that. But the platform's strength goes beyond just low fees and security. There's a third pillar, one that people often overlook until they desperately need it: customer support. This is Kraken's unsung superpower. We've all heard the horror stories. Your account gets locked, you have a deposit that's gone missing, and you're forced to talk to a chatbot for 3 days straight, getting automated, useless replies while your blood pressure skyrockets. Kraken took a different path. They invested heavily in 24/7 global human support. You can live chat with a real person, you can call them on the phone. It's a level of service that feels almost alien in the crypto space. More like a premium financial institution than a tech startup. For anyone who's ever had a serious issue at another exchange and felt like they were screaming into the void, the value of this cannot be overstated. So, who is Kraken for in 2026? It's for the person who has moved past their first ever crypto purchase. It's for the investor who understands that security isn't just a buzzword, but the bedrock of a long-term strategy. It's for the active trader who is tired of paying exorbitant fees and wants access to a professional-grade platform. It's for the long-term holder who wants to stake their assets and earn yield, confident that the exchange they're using is one of the most solvent and secure on earth. It's not necessarily for the absolute beginner who needs the most hand-holding and the simplest, most gamified interface imaginable. Coinbase still arguably wins that very first step. Kraken is step 2. It's the place you go when you graduate. It's the platform you choose when you realize that your digital assets are not a game. They are your hard-earned capital, and they deserve to be protected by a fortress. It demands a little more from you, but it rewards you with lower fees, unparalleled security, and the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're standing on solid ground. Kraken, then, represents the professional's choice, the security-obsessed investor's haven. It's powerful, it's cost-effective, and it's built on a foundation of trust that's over a decade deep. But it still maintains that slight division: the simple app for beginners, the pro platform for everyone else. This raises a critical question for the modern crypto user. Do you still have to make that choice? Do you have to choose between the dead-simple user experience of a Coinbase and the low fees of a Kraken Pro? What if an exchange came along that refused to make you choose? What if a platform took the institutional-grade security and rock-bottom fees of the pro world and wrapped them in an interface so sleek, so intuitive, that your grandmother could use it? That's exactly the gap a new breed of competitor is trying to fill. And one of them, born from the heart of New York's financial district with a focus on regulation from day one, might just be the most compelling alternative of them all. That exchange is called Gemini, and its story is as much about Wall Street as it is about crypto. Founded by the Winklevoss twins, yes, those Winklevoss twins from the Facebook story, Gemini was built from the ground up with a philosophy that was, and still is, radically different from most of its competitors. While others were chasing explosive growth in the regulatory gray areas, shouting "move fast and break things," Gemini was in a quiet room with lawyers, meticulously building a fortress. Their motto wasn't about being the biggest or the fastest. It was about being the most trusted. They pursued the dreaded New York BitLicense, a regulatory gauntlet so difficult and expensive to obtain that many exchanges simply gave up and blocked New York users entirely. Gemini leaned into it. They became the world's first licensed Ether exchange and later, the first licensed cash exchange. This isn't just ancient history. It's the DNA of the entire platform. In 2026, this regulation-first approach has profound implications for you as a user. Think of it this way: Coinbase feels like a tech company that deals with money. Kraken feels like a trading firm that built a website. Gemini feels like a bank that deals with crypto. Everything about its design and operation is meant to inspire confidence, especially for those who are new to the space or who manage significant wealth. Their security is arguably the gold standard for centralized exchanges. They were one of the first to complete a SOC 2 Type 2 examination, which is a fancy way of saying they hired a top-tier independent auditing firm to come in, kick the tires, and verify that their security systems and data protection protocols are not just designed well, but are operating effectively over a long period. For an individual, this means your data and assets are being protected by a system that has been rigorously and independently stress-tested to the same standards as major financial institutions. But where Gemini truly attempts to differentiate itself is with its custody solution. Most of your crypto on Gemini isn't held in a hot wallet connected to the internet, which is vulnerable to hackers. It's held in their institutional-grade cold storage system. Imagine a series of geographically distributed, access-controlled vaults with no direct connection to the internet, requiring multiple high-level employees to access simultaneously. It's the digital equivalent of a Swiss bank vault. And they didn't just build this for themselves, they offer it as a service to massive Wall Street firms. This is a critical point. The same system protecting a billion-dollar hedge fund's crypto is the exact same system protecting your 1/10 of a Bitcoin. Furthermore, they carry third-party commercial crime insurance for assets held in their hot wallet, and have secured even more insurance for their cold storage custody. It's one of the most comprehensive insurance packages in the industry. After the collapses of Celsius, Voyager, and FTX, where customer funds simply vanished with no recourse, this focus on verifiable security and insurance isn't just a feature. For many, it's the only thing that matters. It's the reason someone might choose Gemini even if it means paying higher fees or having fewer coins to choose from. And that brings us to the user experience and the inevitable trade-offs. Logging into Gemini doesn't feel like logging into a crypto app. It feels like logging into your Fidelity or Charles Schwab account. The interface is clean, professional, and stripped down. There are no flashy animations, no trending coin lists designed to induce FOMO, and no gamified learn and earn quests. It is unapologetically straightforward. You can buy, sell, and store your assets. The default interface is incredibly simple, designed for the person who wants to buy a set amount of Bitcoin or Ethereum every month and not think about it. For more advanced users, they offer a platform called ActiveTrader, which provides the sophisticated charting tools, order types, and deeper liquidity you'd expect from a pro-level exchange. It's a smart separation that keeps the main platform from intimidating newcomers while still catering to experienced traders. But here's the catch. The simplicity and security come at a cost, both literally and figuratively. Gemini's fee structure is complex and often more expensive. For simple buys on their main app or website, they charge a convenience fee and a transaction fee, which can add up quickly, especially on smaller purchases. If you buy $100 of Bitcoin, the fees can be significantly higher than what you pay on Coinbase Advanced or Kraken Pro. Using their active trader platform brings the fees down dramatically, making them competitive with the industry's best. But many beginner users never even find it. This fee structure feels like a relic of a past era, and it's one of Gemini's most common criticisms. You are explicitly paying a premium for the perceived safety and regulatory comfort the platform provides. The other major trade-off is asset selection. Gemini's regulation-first mantra means their process for listing a new digital asset is painstakingly slow and conservative. They conduct a rigorous internal review of each project's technology, team, and regulatory standing. The result? A much smaller, curated list of available cryptocurrencies compared to its rivals. You will find Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other well-established large-cap projects. You will not find the latest dog-themed memecoin that just did a 50x. Nor will you find obscure altcoins from emerging ecosystems. For the Deegan trader looking for the next hidden gem, Gemini is a barren wasteland. But for the serious investor who sees crypto as a long-term asset class, this curated list can be seen as a feature, not a bug. It acts as a built-in filter, weeding out the vast majority of low-quality or outright scam projects. They aren't trying to be a crypto casino. They're trying to be the New York Stock Exchange of digital assets. So, who is Gemini for in 2026? It's for the investor who prioritizes security and regulatory compliance above all else. It's for the person who was burned by the chaos of previous cycles and now demands proof of reserves, third-party audits, and comprehensive insurance. It's for the high-net-worth individual or family office that wants to allocate a serious amount of capital to crypto and needs an institutional-grade custodian. And it's for the absolute beginner who is terrified of the Wild West reputation of crypto and wants the platform that feels the most like their traditional bank. They are willing to pay higher fees and accept a limited asset selection in exchange for the ability to sleep at night. Gemini is selling peace of mind. But this entire model, this walled garden bank-like approach, runs counter to the very ethos that gave birth to crypto in the first place. The whole point of Bitcoin was to create a decentralized system, free from the control of banks and governments. By choosing the most regulated, centralized, and institutionally focused platforms, are we just rebuilding the old system with a new set of assets? What if you want more than just the top 15 vetted coins? What if you want to participate in the bleeding edge of decentralized finance, yield farming, or NFT ecosystems? For that, you need a gateway to the entire crypto universe, not just one curated corner of it. You need a platform that embraces a bit more of the chaos. And the exchange that has mastered that balancing act better than almost anyone else is the one they call the crypto trader's paradise. Kraken. For the seasoned crypto enthusiast in the United States, that name carries weight. It's not just an exchange, it's an institution. And it earned its nickname as the trader's paradise for one simple reason. While others were building walled gardens, Kraken was building a gateway to the entire, untamed digital frontier. If Coinbase is the carefully curated, beautifully lit Apple Store of crypto, Kraken is the sprawling, chaotic, infinitely fascinating Grand Bazaar. It's not for the tourist looking for a simple souvenir. It's for the explorer, the merchant, the adventurer who wants to see everything the market has to offer. The good, the bad, and the bizarre. The first thing you notice when you step into this bazaar is the sheer, overwhelming selection. We're not talking about a few dozen of the greatest hits. We're talking about hundreds upon hundreds of assets. This is where you come when you've graduated. You've bought your Bitcoin, you hold your Ethereum, and now you're asking, what's next? You've heard whispers of Layer 2 scaling solutions, of decentralized AI networks, of new protocols for gaming and social media. You don't just want to read about them. You want a piece of the action. Kraken is where you find them. This isn't just about quantity, it's about philosophy. The platform has a reputation for listing projects that are technically sound and innovative, even if they haven't yet broken into the mainstream consciousness. They're willing to take a chance on the new and the unproven, giving you access to potential opportunities long before they hit the headlines in the simple one-click buy apps. This is the digital equivalent of being an early-stage investor. It comes with enormous risk, let's be absolutely clear about that. For every project that goes 100x, there are dozens that fade into obscurity. But Kraken operates on the principle of freedom and access. It trusts you, the user, to do your own research, to understand the risks, and to make your own decisions. It gives you the tools and the access, but it doesn't hold your hand. It's a profound difference in approach. You're not a customer being sold a product. You're a market participant being given a trading desk. And what a trading desk it is. This is the second pillar of the trader's paradise. The professional-grade trading experience. Clicking the buy button on a simple app is one thing. Staring at Kraken Pro's interface is another entirely. It can be intimidating. It looks less like a consumer app and more like the cockpit of a starship. You have candlestick charts you can customize with dozens of technical indicators, from Bollinger Bands to MACD. You have a live streaming order book showing you the supply and demand for an asset in real time. You have a depth chart, visualizing market liquidity at a glance. Most importantly, you have control. You're not just stuck with market orders, where you buy at the current fluctuating price. You can place limit orders to buy or sell at a specific price you want. You can set stop-loss orders to automatically sell if the price drops to a certain point, protecting your capital from a catastrophic crash. You can set take-profit orders to automatically lock in your gains when an asset hits your target. You can even get into more complex strategies like margin trading and futures contracts, though this is truly the deep end of the pool and only for the most experienced traders. The point is, the platform is built for precision. It's for people who don't just want to buy crypto, but who want to trade it with strategy, with discipline, and with a full suite of professional tools at their fingertips. Now, you might be thinking a chaotic bazaar full of risky assets and complex tools sounds like a dangerous place. And it would be, if it weren't built inside a fortress. This is the third and arguably most important pillar of Kraken. Its legendary commitment to security. Since its founding way back in 2011, Kraken has cultivated a reputation as one of the most secure exchanges on the planet. They have never ever had a major platform-wide hack. Think about that. In an industry littered with the corpses of exchanges that collapsed due to security breaches, that record is almost unbelievable. It's a testament to a security-first culture that permeates everything they do. They keep the vast majority, around 95%, of all customer deposits in air-gapped, geographically distributed cold storage. That means the assets are completely disconnected from the internet, safe from online attacks. They were also one of the pioneers of proof of reserves audits. This is a cryptographic method where a third-party auditor can independently verify that the exchange actually holds all the assets it claims to, without compromising user privacy. After the collapses of so many exchanges that were playing fast and loose with customer funds, this kind of verifiable proof isn't just a feature. It's a fundamental requirement for trust. They offer advanced security options for your own account, like two-factor authentication using everything from an app to a physical YubiKey, and a global settings lock that can prevent any changes to your account for a period of time. Kraken understands that in the Wild West, the most important thing is a strong lock on the town bank. So, what's the price of admission to this trader's paradise? This brings us to the fee structure, and it's another area where Kraken shines for its target audience. They use a maker-taker model. In simple terms, a taker is someone who places an order that gets filled immediately at the market price. You are taking liquidity from the market. A maker is someone who places an order that doesn't get filled immediately, like a limit order away from the current price. You are making a market by adding liquidity to the order book. Kraken rewards the makers with lower fees than the takers. This structure is designed to encourage active trading and create a more liquid, stable market for everyone. Furthermore, the fees are on a sliding scale. The more you trade in a 30-day period, the lower your fees become. For a small, occasional trader, the fees are competitive, but not dramatically cheaper than other platforms. But for a high-volume active trader, Kraken becomes one of the most cost-effective exchanges available to US users. It's a system that explicitly rewards its power users. It's another signal of who this platform is for: the serious, dedicated participant. But let's be honest about who this platform is not for. If you are brand new to crypto, if the thought of a candlestick chart gives you a headache, if your goal is simply to buy $100 of Bitcoin every month and not think about it, Kraken is probably not your best starting point. The sheer number of options can lead to analysis paralysis. The professional interface can be overwhelming. The ethos of self-reliance means there's less hand-holding. It's the difference between learning to drive in a simple automatic sedan versus being handed the keys to a manual transmission race car. Both will get you down the road, but one requires a significantly higher level of skill and attention to operate safely. Kraken, then, is for the graduate. It's for the person who started on a simpler platform, learned the basics, and now feels constrained. You want more coin selection, you want more powerful trading tools, you want lower fees for your active strategies, and you demand uncompromising security for your growing portfolio. It's the perfect second step on your crypto journey. A platform that grows with you from an intermediate enthusiast into a sophisticated, professional-level trader. It's a paradise, but one you have to be prepared to navigate. But what if you're neither a beginner looking for simplicity, nor a hardcore trader needing a cockpit? What if you're somewhere in between? What if you want a massive selection of assets, but also want to earn passive income on them through staking? What if you want an exchange that feels a little more connected to the global crypto scene? One that pushes the boundaries of what a centralized exchange can even do. For that, we have to look to a company that has played a cat-and-mouse game with regulators, but has consistently offered some of the most innovative features in the entire industry. I'm talking, of course, about Binance. Now, before you click away thinking, I can't even use that in the US, hear me out. The story of Binance and its American counterpart, Binance US, is one of the most important, most dramatic, and most telling sagas in the entire crypto industry. And understanding it is absolutely critical to choosing the right exchange in 2026, because the ghost of Binance looms over every single competitor. For years, it was the undisputed king, the 800-pound gorilla that set the pace for everyone else. While Coinbase was busy getting public approval and Kraken was focusing on security, Binance was playing a different game entirely. Their philosophy, driven by their enigmatic founder CZ, was simple: build faster, list more, and be cheaper than everyone else on the planet. And it worked spectacularly. Binance didn't just build an exchange, it built an empire. And the crown jewel of that empire, the engine that powered its explosive growth, wasn't just its trading platform. It was something far more ambitious, its own blockchain. The Binance Smart Chain, now called the BNB chain. Imagine it's 2021. The world is going crazy for DeFi, decentralized finance. Everyone wants to lend, borrow, and farm yield with their crypto, but the main network for this, Ethereum, is painfully slow and outrageously expensive. A single transaction could cost you $50, $100, even $200 in gas fees. It was pricing out the average person. Then comes Binance. They essentially took Ethereum's code, made a few tweaks to make it incredibly fast and cheap, and slapped their name on it. Transactions cost pennies and took seconds. Was it as decentralized as Ethereum? Absolutely not. Critics called it a centralized copycat. But you know what? Millions of users didn't care. They cared about being able to participate in the future of finance without going broke. Binance created a seamless bridge. You could buy a coin on their exchange, and with one click, send it over to the BNB chain to use in this sprawling new ecosystem of apps. This created a powerful flywheel. The exchange fed the chain, and the success of the chain brought more users to the exchange. It was a strategic masterclass that no other centralized exchange managed to replicate on the same scale. But they didn't stop there. They also created the Binance Launchpad. Think of it like a Kickstarter, but for the next big crypto projects, and you, the average user, get to be the venture capitalist. Before a hot new token was listed for public trading, Binance would allow its users to get in on the ground floor, buying tokens at a rock-bottom price. Getting into a Launchpad project was like winning the lottery. It was a golden ticket. This wasn't just a feature. It was a wealth creation engine and a powerful tool for user retention. Why would you ever leave an exchange that was literally giving you opportunities to make 10x, 50x, or even 100x returns? You wouldn't. You'd buy more of their native token BNB to get a bigger allocation in the next launch. Another brilliant flywheel. This relentless innovation, this sheer speed is what defined Binance. They listed hundreds of coins, catering to the most risk-hungry traders who wanted the next big thing before it ever had a prayer of being listed on a careful, slow-moving platform like Coinbase. It was the Wild West, and Binance was the biggest saloon in town. But this aggressive, move fast and break things, approach came with a massive looming cost: regulatory scrutiny. The very things that made Binance so dominant globally were red flags for US regulators. The dizzying array of tokens, the high-leverage derivatives trading, the launchpad that looked a lot like an unregulated securities offering. It was a compliance nightmare. And so the cat-and-mouse game began. This led to the creation of Binance US, a supposedly independent, separate company designed to serve the American market in a fully compliant way. The reality? For years, Binance US felt like a shadow, a watered-down version of its global big brother. The asset selection was tiny in comparison. The advanced features were gone. The user interface felt clunky. It was like going to the world's greatest theme park, but being told you can only ride the teacups. So, where does that leave Binance.US in 2026? This is where the story gets fascinating. After years of legal battles, a seismic multi-billion-dollar settlement with the US government, and the stepping down of its iconic founder, Binance was forced to change. It had to grow up. The new Binance US is a company forged in the fires of regulatory hell, now run by compliance-minded executives, not just growth-at-all-costs builders. So what's the verdict? The single biggest reason to even consider Binance.US in 2026 is its fee structure. It is, and has almost always been, one of the cheapest places to trade crypto. Period. Their fee tiers are incredibly competitive, often significantly lower than Coinbase Pro or Kraken Pro, especially for high-volume traders. If your primary concern is minimizing costs on every single trade, Binance.US has to be on your radar. They built their empire on low fees, and that DNA is still present in the US entity. The platform has also matured. While it will likely never have the thousands of assets available on the global site, its selection is no longer the barren wasteland it once was. It now offers a respectable list of major cryptocurrencies and promising altcoins, having gone through a much stricter vetting process. The liquidity is deep, meaning you can execute large trades without significant price slippage, a benefit inherited from its association with the world's largest exchange ecosystem. However, the scars of its past remain. The trust question is paramount. Can you trust a brand that spent the better part of a decade playing fast and loose with regulations? The new leadership will tell you they are a completely new company, that they are compliance first. But for some, that shadow will always linger. The user experience, while improved, still sometimes lacks the seamless, beginner-friendly polish of a Coinbase. It's functional, powerful, but not necessarily beautiful. It feels more like a professional trading tool than a friendly investment app. So, who is Binance.US for in 2026? It's not for the brand new beginner who needs their hand held. It's for the cost-conscious intermediate trader. It's for the person who has outgrown the high fees of simpler platforms and is looking for a more robust, professional-grade trading engine without paying a premium. It's for someone who does their own research, understands the assets they're buying, and is primarily focused on execution and cost. You're trading the slick, easy-to-use interface and the safest brand name of Coinbase for a more powerful engine with significantly lower running costs. It's a trade-off between perceived safety and tangible savings. Coinbase is the safe, reliable Toyota Camry. Kraken is the durable, all-wheel drive Subaru. Binance.US? It's like a rebuilt classic muscle car. The engine is massive, the speed is undeniable, and it costs less than its modern counterparts. But you always have that little voice in the back of your head, wondering about its history and whether the new parts will hold. But what if you're not just a crypto trader? What if you're an investor? Someone who wants their crypto to sit right alongside their stocks, their bonds, and their ETFs in a single unified portfolio? The lines between traditional finance and digital assets are blurring faster than ever, and one company is betting its entire future on that convergence, aiming to be the one app that rules them all. And that company is, perhaps unsurprisingly, Robinhood. But this isn't the Robinhood of 2021. By 2026, their mission to democratize finance has evolved into a far more ambitious goal: to unify it. They are no longer just a stock app that happens to sell a little crypto. They are the leading contender for the American financial super app, a single elegant interface where your entire net worth lives and breathes. Imagine it. You open one app. You see your stock portfolio, your Apple, your Nvidia, your index funds. Right below it, you see your crypto holdings, not just Bitcoin and Ethereum, but a curated list of the top 50 most promising projects, from Layer 1 blockchains to decentralized AI networks. Swipe right, and you're looking at your retirement account, an IRA that now seamlessly holds a spot Bitcoin ETF right alongside your traditional mutual funds. Swipe right again, and there's your high-yield savings account, earning a competitive APY, acting as the cash hub for your entire financial life. This is the holy grail they're chasing. The radical, almost brutal, simplification of personal finance. The core appeal isn't being the best platform for stocks, or the best platform for crypto. It's being the only platform you need. The psychological friction of managing 4 different apps for different logins and for different tax statements, it just evaporates. Think about the speed of capital. In the old world, you'd sell some stock, wait 2 days for the trade to settle, then initiate an ACH transfer to your crypto exchange, which takes another 3 to 5 business days. A full week could pass before your funds are ready to invest. In the 2026 Robinhood ecosystem, it's instantaneous. You sell $1,000 of Tesla stock and the buying power is there. Immediately, you can pivot that $1,000 into Solana in less than 10 seconds, before the market has even had time to react. This isn't just a convenience, it's a strategic advantage. It transforms your portfolio from a collection of static, siloed assets into a single fluid pool of capital that can be reallocated at the speed of thought. But this grand vision comes with a monumental trade-off. It's the classic dilemma. The jack of all trades is a master of none. While Robinhood in 2026 offers a vastly expanded crypto selection, it will never be Kraken. It won't list the obscure, high-risk, high-reward altcoin that a dedicated Deegan is hunting for. It won't offer the complex, multi-collateral lending and borrowing protocols you'd find on a decentralized platform. Their staking options will be simplified, a straightforward earn yield button. But they won't provide the granular control or liquid staking derivatives that a hardcore crypto native demands. It's a Swiss Army knife. It has a screwdriver, but you wouldn't use it to build a deck. For 90% of tasks, it's perfect. For the specialist, it's a toy. The same applies to their traditional finance tools. An expert options trader will still gravitate towards tastytrade or interactive brokers for their sophisticated analytics and complex order types. A professional stock analyst will still live inside a Bloomberg terminal. Robinhood isn't trying to compete with them. They're competing for everyone else. Their target user isn't the full-time trader or the crypto anarchist. It's the 38-year-old software engineer, the 45-year-old marketing director, the 29-year-old nurse. People who are smart, busy, and want their money to work for them across all asset classes without needing 3 PhDs to manage it. They want exposure to the upside of crypto, the stability of index funds, and the growth of tech stocks, all presented in a clean, unified dashboard they can check twice a day. For this massive and growing segment of the population, the good enough of a super app is infinitely better than the perfect but complicated of multiple specialist platforms. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Custody. The old crypto mantra, not your keys, not your coins, has been a massive barrier to entry for Robinhood. By 2026, they've addressed this with a clever 2-pronged solution. For the majority of users, the main app remains custodial. It's simple, insured where possible through SIPC for securities and excess FDIC for cash, and you can recover your password if you forget it. It removes the terrifying responsibility of self-custody. But for those who demand sovereignty, they've deeply integrated their Web3 wallet. With a single toggle, you can move your ETH, your NFTs, your stablecoins from the custodial platform to your own self-custody wallet, where you, and only you, control the private keys. This hybrid model is genius. It provides the gentle, forgiving on-ramp for the beginner, while giving the graduating user a seamless path to true ownership without ever leaving the ecosystem. It allows them to say, start with us, stay with us, and grow with us on your own terms. Of course, nothing is free. The commission-free marketing that built their empire is now widely understood. By 2026, regulation has forced more transparency around payment for order flow and the spreads on crypto trades. Users know that the cost is simply baked into the execution price. When you buy 1 Bitcoin, you might be paying a few dollars more than you would on Coinbase Advanced or Kraken Pro. For the mass affluent investor making 5 trades a month, this embedded fee is a tiny, invisible price to pay for the incredible convenience of the all-in-one platform. For a high-frequency trader making 100 trades a day, those tiny cuts add up to a death by 1,000 paper cuts, making the platform completely unviable. And Robinhood isn't alone in this race. Fidelity, a titan of traditional finance, is aggressively expanding its crypto offerings, leveraging its decades of trust to appeal to an older, wealthier demographic. They offer the same promise: your 401k and your Bitcoin under one trusted roof. Public, another competitor, is leaning into a more social, community-focused version of the super app, integrating alternative assets like collectibles and fine art. The battle for the center of your financial universe is the defining conflict of the late 2020s. Ultimately, choosing a platform like Robinhood in 2026 is a philosophical decision. It's a vote for integration over specialization. It's a declaration that you value your time and mental energy more than you value squeezing every last 100% in optimization. You are outsourcing the complexity. You are trading the absolute peak of performance in any single category for an A- experience across the board. It's the elegant, unified dashboard versus the chaotic but powerful arsenal of specialist tools. The choice between the super app and the specialist will fundamentally define your investment journey. But there's a darker side to this consolidation of power, a systemic risk that goes far beyond just fees and features, and it affects every single person holding digital assets, whether they use a super app or not. This risk is the ghost of 2008, resurrected in a digital form. It's the specter of too big to fail. But this time, there's no government bailout waiting in the wings. We're talking about the paradox at the very heart of the 2026 crypto landscape. The industry was built on the promise of decentralization, a world with no single point of failure. Yet, the main gateways for nearly every single user in the United States are sprinting towards becoming the most centralized system-critical points of failure imaginable. These super apps, in their quest for ultimate convenience and market dominance, are building glass towers on a fault line. And the bigger they get, the more the ground beneath them trembles. Let's play this out. Imagine it's a Tuesday morning in 2026. The market is humming along. You're checking your portfolio on Nexus, the dominant super app that not only holds your crypto but also your tokenized stocks, your DeFi lending positions, and maybe even your digital identity credentials. Suddenly, a rumor starts circulating on social media. A whisper about a massive hole in Nexus's balance sheet, a leveraged bet gone wrong in their institutional lending arm. First it's dismissed. FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But then the app starts to get sluggish. Your withdrawal of USDC is pending. For hours. Panic begins to set in. The price of Nexus's own exchange token, a coin that underpins much of the platform's ecosystem, starts to plummet. Within an hour, a 40% drop. Now real panic ignites. A digital bank run begins. Millions of users are hammering the withdraw button simultaneously. But the gates are closed. A banner appears on the app. Unscheduled maintenance. All withdrawals are temporarily paused to ensure network stability. Funds are safe. But everyone knows what that really means. It's the digital equivalent of a bank locking its doors. This is the first stage of a systemic collapse. Because Nexus isn't just an isolated island. In 2026, it's a continent. Its own stablecoin, let's call it Nexus Dollar or NUSD, is deeply integrated into dozens of DeFi protocols. Smaller exchanges use Nexus for liquidity. Venture capital firms hold their treasuries on Nexus for the yield. The moment Nexus freezes withdrawals, the contagion begins. The DeFi protocols that rely on NUSD as collateral begin to see cascading liquidations. The value of NUSD, which is supposed to be pegged 1-to-1 with the dollar, starts to depeg. First it's 98 cents, then 90, then 70. Every project, every trader, every yield farmer holding NUSD is now getting wiped out. The smaller exchanges that used Nexus for market making find their own liquidity has vanished. They too are forced to halt withdrawals. The dominoes are not just falling, they are shattering. And what about you, the individual user? You're staring at a screen that shows your life savings, your retirement, your speculative bets, all trapped behind a digital wall. And you're forced to confront the brutal, terrifying lesson that the crypto space has tried to teach us time and time again. Not your keys, not your coins. You never actually owned the Bitcoin in your Nexus account. You owned an IOU from Nexus. You were a creditor. And now the company you lent your money to is insolvent. Your claim is now just one among millions in what will become the most complex, drawn-out bankruptcy proceeding in financial history, making the FTX and Mt. Gox sagas look like simple accounting errors. This isn't just a financial loss, it's a systemic breach of trust. And the fallout extends far beyond those who lost money directly. The US government, which had been slowly and cautiously creating a regulatory framework, would be forced to react. But governments don't react with surgical precision in a crisis. They react with a sledgehammer. The narrative in Washington, D.C. would shift overnight. Crypto would no longer be seen as an innovative technology sector. It would be framed as a dangerously unregulated casino that threatened the stability of the broader financial system. The regulations that would follow would be draconian. They would be designed not to foster innovation, but to crush perceived threats. Forget about easy access to DeFi. Forget about self-custody being championed. The new laws would likely force all digital asset activity through a handful of hyper-regulated, bank-like institutions, effectively killing the very ethos of decentralization the technology was founded upon. The failure of one too-big-to-fail super app wouldn't just reset the market. It would scorch the earth for a generation of builders and investors. It would set the entire space back a decade, validating every criticism ever leveled against it. You might think this is an exaggeration, but we've seen the dress rehearsals. We saw it with MTGOX, which at its peak handled over 70% of all Bitcoin transactions. When it collapsed, it plunged crypto into a multi-year winter. We saw it with FTX, a supposedly regulated and trusted entity whose failure vaporized billions and triggered a crisis of confidence that we are only now recovering from. The lesson is that when you concentrate immense power and capital into a single entity without the robust, time-tested safety nets of traditional finance, like FDIC insurance and strict capital reserve requirements, you are not creating efficiency. You are building a bomb. The super apps of 2026 are that bomb. They are actively centralizing risk on a scale that makes FTX look quaint. They are combining the functions of an exchange, a bank, a brokerage, and a venture fund, all under one roof, often with opaque operations and novel financial instruments that have never been stress-tested by a true global recession. The very convenience they offer is a siren song, luring the entire ecosystem towards a single massive point of failure. The more successful they become, the more integrated they are, the greater the systemic risk to everyone. So as a user, you're caught in a terrible dilemma. On one hand, you have the undeniable utility of these platforms, the seamless experience, the all-in-one access, the competitive fees. It's an incredibly compelling proposition. It makes participating in this complex digital economy feel easy, almost effortless. But on the other hand, with every dollar you leave on that platform, with every service you use, you are feeding a beast that could one day consume the entire ecosystem. You are trading the foundational principle of self-sovereignty for the fleeting comfort of convenience. This isn't a simple choice between Kraken and Coinbase anymore. It's not about which app has a better user interface or lower trading fees. The fundamental question for every US crypto investor in 2026 is how to navigate a landscape dominated by these titans while insulating yourself from the catastrophic risk they represent. How do you leverage their power without becoming a victim of their potential collapse? It requires a complete shift in mindset, from being just a user of a platform to becoming the sovereign manager of your own digital wealth. It demands a strategy that is both deliberate and diversified, not just in assets, but in the very platforms and methods you use to hold them. So, what is that strategy? How do you build a personal system that is resilient, secure, and prepared for the inevitable shocks to the system? That is the final and most critical piece of the puzzle. It's called the sovereignty stack. Think of it not as choosing one platform, but as building your own personal financial fortress with different layers of security for different purposes. This isn't about finding the one best exchange. The one best exchange doesn't exist. It's about designing a system where each component has a specific job, minimizing your risk at every single step. This is how you move from being a speculator to a sovereign individual. The first layer of your fortress is the gateway. This is your bridge to the old world, your on-ramp and off-ramp for fiat currency. For this role, you don't prioritize low fees. You don't prioritize exotic assets. You prioritize one thing above all else: trust and regulatory clarity. This is your most heavily guarded gate, the one with the most guards and the thickest walls, because it's where you connect to the traditional banking system. For the vast majority of US users in 2026, this role is best filled by Coinbase. Yes, their fees are higher, but you're not using Coinbase to day trade. You are paying a premium for its public company status, its audits, its relatively stable relationship with US regulators, and its FDIC insurance on your cash deposits. You use the gateway for one primary function: converting your dollars into foundational crypto assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum, and converting them back when you need to. You send your paycheck deposit here, you make the conversion, and then the assets move. They do not live here. Think of it like an airport. It's an essential transit hub, but you would never store your life savings in a locker at LAX. You use Coinbase for its simplicity and its security as a bridge, and you pay the toll for that privilege. Once your assets are inside the walls, they move to the next layer, the marketplace. This is your active trading floor. This is where you might use a platform like Kraken Pro. Here the priorities shift. You've already passed through the secure gateway, so now you're looking for performance. You want low fees, deep liquidity, and a wide range of trading pairs and advanced order types. This is where you keep the capital you are actively deploying, the 5, 10, maybe 20% of your portfolio that you're using to trade, to experiment, to seek alpha. But the critical rule of the marketplace is that you never store your long-term holdings here. The capital on this layer is, by definition, at risk. It is subject to the counterparty risk of the exchange itself. No matter how secure Kraken or any other exchange claims to be, you are trusting a third party. History has been a brutal and undefeated teacher on this subject. The marketplace is for transactions, not for storage. It's a tool, not a vault. By segmenting your activity this way, you can take advantage of the low fees and powerful features of a trading-focused platform without exposing your entire net worth to its inherent risks. You trade here, you profit here, and then once again the assets move. They move to the final, most important layer of your fortress, the heart of your entire system. This is the treasury. This is your personal vault, and it operates under a single non-negotiable law. Not your keys, not your crypto. Your treasury is the domain of self-custody. This is where the vast majority of your digital assets, your long-term investments, your generational wealth, must reside. This means using a hardware wallet. Devices from companies like Ledger, Trezor, or Blockstream have become the gold standard for a reason. Let's be clear. This step carries a profound new level of personal responsibility. There is no password reset. There is no customer service number to call if you lose your seed phrase. You and you alone are responsible for securing your wealth. But with that responsibility comes true ownership. For the first time in modern history, you can hold a bearer asset that no government, no bank, and no corporation can seize or devalue without your consent. A hardware wallet keeps the private keys to your crypto offline, in a specialized, secure device. When you want to send funds, you connect the device, physically verify the transaction on its screen, and press a button to approve it. It makes it virtually impossible for a remote hacker to steal your funds. This is the end game. This is the entire point of the crypto revolution. It's not about number go up charts. It's about decoupling your wealth from the whims of third parties. Your gateway is for access. Your marketplace is for activity. But your treasury is for freedom. And you must protect it accordingly. That means stamping your 12 or 24-word seed phrase into metal, not storing it on a computer or a cloud drive. It means storing it in a secure, private location, perhaps even in multiple locations. It means understanding that you are the CEO, CFO, and Chief Security Officer of your own bank. Now, surrounding this entire three-layered fortress is a final invisible shield, the protocol. This isn't a place or a platform. It's a set of personal security rules you live by. Your fortress is only as strong as the discipline of the person who commands it. First, unique passwords for every single service, managed by a reputable password manager. Reusing a password is like giving every guard the same key to every gate. Second, the strongest form of two-factor authentication available. This is not SMS. Text messages can be intercepted through SIM swap attacks. You must use an authenticator app like Google Authenticator or, even better, a physical security key like a YubiKey. This is non-negotiable. Third, a dedicated email address for your financial accounts, separate from your personal and social media life. This dramatically reduces your attack surface. And finally, a healthy, constant state of paranoia. Question every email. Verify every link. Understand that as this asset class grows, you will become a target. The most sophisticated hacks don't break through code. They exploit human psychology through phishing and social engineering. Your vigilance is the moat around your castle. So let's put it all together. The landscape of 2026 isn't about one exchange winning. It's about you, the user, winning. You build your sovereignty stack. You use Coinbase as your secure, regulated gateway to turn dollars into crypto. You transfer your active trading funds to Kraken Pro, your high-performance marketplace, to take advantage of low fees. And then, most importantly, you sweep your long-term holdings, the core of your wealth, into your own custody in the treasury, secured by a hardware wallet. All of this is protected by your personal protocol of relentless operational security. This system gives you the best of all worlds: the regulatory compliance of a public company, the low-cost performance of a pro-grade exchange, and the absolute, uncompromising security of self-sovereignty. It minimizes counterparty risk at every stage and puts you in complete control. The future of crypto isn't about trusting a better bank. It's about becoming your own bank. The exchanges are just tools, temporary stops on your journey. The final destination is ownership. The path we've laid out today isn't the easiest one. It requires learning, diligence, and responsibility. But in a world of uncertainty, it is the only path that leads to true financial freedom. The choice now is yours.